Welcome back to Baking with Becca. Today I'm going to show you how to make this lemon and raspberry cake. This recipe consists of a lemon and raspberry sponge with raspberry conserve and lemon buttercream. The first step is to cream the butter on its own for a few minutes. This is going to make it much easier to cream the sugar into the butter. Once the butter's softened, add in your caster sugar and cream until it looks like the sugar has dissolved. Next, crack in your eggs one at a time. Mix each egg into the batter before adding another. If you add the eggs all at once, it could scramble the mixture. Sieve the flour into the batter and add your baking powder. Use a folding motion to incorporate this. Add in your vanilla essence, lemon juice, lemon zest and milk. Once that has been combined, it's time to add the washed raspberries. Be gentle when mixing these through, as otherwise it could turn the batter pink. Line and grease your baking tins. I'm using 3 8-inch pans. Try and get an equal amount of batter into each tin. This is going to help with even layers. Bake the cakes for 30 minutes at 160 degrees Celsius. To make the lemon buttercream, your butter needs to be at room temperature before you start. If it's still slightly too cold, you can slice it and this will bring the temperature down. Beat the butter on its own with an electric whisk for 10 minutes. It should start to look creamier and paler. Add your icing sugar in 2 or 3 batches, making sure to sieve this before it goes into the bowl. Whisk for 10 minutes after each addition of icing sugar. Once you're done, the mixture should be fluffy but quite thick. Now it's time to add the lemon juice and lemon zest. Mix this in with your electric whisk. Next, we're going to fill and stack the cake. There is a slight bit of buttercream already on the cake because I forgot to film and scraped it off and started again. Start by piping a border of buttercream around the edge of the cake. This is going to prevent the raspberry conserve from leaking out the sides. You can follow this with a small amount of buttercream in the middle and spread this out evenly across the top of the cake. Make sure you are leaving your border intact and scrape off any excess buttercream and return it to the bowl. Once you've done that, create small dents on the inside of the border. Next, you need to spoon your raspberry jam or conserve into the centre of the cake. You can add as much or as little as you like. Make sure you spread it out into an even layer. Next, we're just going to add a thin layer of buttercream on top to seal in the conserve. Spread the buttercream so that it is evenly distributed. Now you can add your second layer of cake. Make sure that it's stacked evenly on top. You need to repeat the same process with this layer of cake. Now you can add your final layer of cake and it's time to crumb coat. Start by piping buttercream into the gaps around the cake. You can smooth these off using a palette knife or a regular knife. If you find any gaps as you're going around, just add a bit more buttercream and fill it in. Using a piping bag or a palette knife, cover the outside of the cake in a layer of buttercream. You'll need to use a cake scraper or bench scraper to smooth the icing around the cake. You can deposit any extra buttercream onto the top of the cake because we'll use that soon. For the top of the cake, smooth the buttercream across the surface so there is an even distribution. You only need a thin layer of buttercream on the top so you can start to take off the excess buttercream. Run your palette knife around the edge of the cake. This is going to pull any excess buttercream from the sides up to the top. Once the cake has been frozen, you can easily cut these pieces off. For the final coat of buttercream, cover the sides of the cake in a thick layer of buttercream. You can apply this using a piping bag or a palette knife. Using your cake scraper, smooth the sides of the cake. If you have any excess buttercream on your scraper, you can deposit this onto the top of the cake. As you're going round, if you notice there are any gaps, you can just add a bit more buttercream and smooth that in. Add more buttercream to the top of the cake if you need to, and smooth this out using the same motion as before. Instead of removing excess buttercream, first start by smoothing it around, as you might want quite a thick layer. When you're happy with the top of the cake, you can go around the sides gently with your cake scraper. Use this to pull up the edges again. Once the cake has been frozen, you can easily slice these off with a sharp knife. For the sparkles around the bottom of the cake, I've flipped the cake upside down on some cling film and pressed the glitter into the side of the cake. This is completely optional and you can decorate it however you want. On top, I've scattered more glitter as well as frozen raspberry crumb. Add a few fresh or frozen raspberries and some candied lemons and you're good to go. I hope you liked this video and let me know in the comments if there's anything you want to see next. Make sure you subscribe for my next video. Thanks for watching.